If you've noticed in the last, it's actually been about 3 months, since about July, when it was pretty much definitely fall of the Tothian shield. There's been these, like, it's almost like piranhas of the universe have been coming out and like biting your ankles astrally. Just little harassments, little pushing at you here, pushing at you there from strange directions. People that you thought were fine, people that were your friends once, all of a sudden are acting weird towards you, or a neighborhood that felt good once, or felt at least benign, all of a sudden just feels hostile even though nobody's done anything. I mean, there's weird things happening. Some are more like you'll find people being more aggressive to you while you're driving on the road. All sorts of stuff like this. This is all coming since the fall of the Tothian shield, because they're picking at us. They're picking at the indigo shield, just harassing it, trying to make us tired, trying to drain us, try to get so the point when we hit that first interface, we'll be so tired, drained, exhausted, and weak that we won't be able to hold enough of the Kundalini currents through the Kama Sutra to be able to hold the shield together. What the Red Dragon groups, who are the aggressors in this victim-victimizer game that we're stuck in the middle of down here, what they want to do is shatter the shield enough, which means not necessarily vaporize any of us, they just want to break it up so we can't hold the frequencies that will hold the rainbow thread crystal spiral open, because our holding it open so our guys can get out and anything Christy can get out also allows for crossback, which is for the fallen angelic groups such as the Buddhara, the Jehovah Anunnaki groups, the Archangel Michael groups, the Indrami Necromaton, everything that came, the Wisadeks, everything that came out of the Wisadek black hole set. They're the enemies of the Wisadraks and those races that are affiliated with those. So we basically have two agendas with lots of players, but actually the players on the field that we're going to see on this planet and elsewhere have to do with the division between the red dragons, which are Wisadraks, Thetans, some of the E-Query that actually did fully fall, not the ones that came in to try to help the problem, and Thetans, and now the Tothians, and a group called the Fortentia. They're known as the E-LAi races, and they have to do with the time rip that goes through the Iyumbi flame in our Vecca system. They're known as the Incubi and the Succubi. All right, in history, they've come down in history since Atlantis, since the he and she devils, because they're ones that tend to use seduction and sexual energy to try to suck energy and get control out of other people until they suck their soul dry, as they say, and then the body dies. Right? So these races are on the Red Dragon team, and then the green races have anything basically connected to Anu type races, except for Tothians that just got hijacked by the Thetans, so are now being used to serve the red agenda. All right? So we are stuck in the middle of this wacky agenda. The green dragons want to go home to their own hole. The red dragons fully control threshold at this point. They are going to pull everything they can into their black hole. The green dragons have been fighting with these guys, all their different groups fighting with each other at different times. The last thing they want to do is go down the red dragon's black hole. And in fact, the Buddhara will destroy the whole system, which is not a good idea because we're stuck in the middle of this, remember that, right? We're still here. They will destroy the whole system before they allow themselves to be pulled down into the Wisadrak black hole. So deep is the hatred between the Buddhara and the Wisadraks. So there's been something called a balance order that was petitioned by the Buddhara, of all people, on behalf of the Anu, because the Anu broke contracts with us during the Treaty of Altair, so we're therefore not, because there's a certain time thing, like if you tell us you're going to do something once and you don't, you have to wait X amount of centuries before you can try again and see if you're good for your word this time, right? So the Anu couldn't directly ask our councils anymore for direct intervention, because when they asked the last time, they made agreements and they broke them, and many indigos were harmed because of that. So their time lapse, as far as now, that was not nice. There's a protocol that they couldn't ask. They could not be heard in council because of breaking those agreements. However, the Buddhara took on their case because the Buddhara have all their wormholes linked through the Wisadek side. So the Buddhara petitioned on behalf of the Anu races from the Wisadek side for what is called a balance order. A balance order in the high Christian councils, and it's only in the highest and deepest ones that will give these. If there is a drama in the outer domains between groups that is going to get so bad and so bloody, and the odds are so stacked against one group, and the other just won't stop. They're just going for aggression just because they can. At this point, the green dragons has started the activation of the beast, and the red dragons got control of it. They have full control of it now, and they are planning to use it to completely annihilate the green dragon races. This is going to turn into a mess on this planet when you look at the faces of doctrine that each of those groups are actually running under. You have your green dragons are primarily, and there's little bits of the other in each other, but primarily the green dragon base here involves the Christian and the Jewish doctrines, and I won't say races, I'd say doctrines, all right? And the people in the Muslim doctrines are being moved by the red dragons, which means they don't look like they're the aggressors. But you'll see something in a minute that has to do with the victim-victimizer game and a series of programs that are about conquering. There's a program that was put into the planetary grids and is run on the sextant clock. And we'll begin to see this pattern that it pops up in our own lives, just in dramas we get ourselves into without even meaning to. And just like the people on mass levels are not meaning to get themselves into a drama, they've already engaged it. And we'll see what that means. Now, the currents that we are beginning to run will still allow us to break free of the hold of the Metatronic interface, and it will allow us to begin clearing that VV program in ourselves. So we may watch it go down around us, especially if we have to stay here till 2047. Guaranteed we're going to see something be flying in the skies, and there's probably not going to be spaceships first anyway. But it will help us to be able to stay neutral so we don't get engaged in that game that is going to be run on the sextant clock. Next one, please.